me switch over to here. See if we're live. It says it's starting. It's receiving our content. It's receiving. Oh, it says we're live.
How about that?
How about that? How about that? We're going. So let's close this, and then let's go over to ye old chat, and then we'll just kind of chat it up a little bit while everybody kind of gets notified that we're doing a live stream tonight.
Whoa.
So here we are doing a live stream. Myself, Richie, GameOverJesse. We'll do an official introduction to GameOverJesse in a minute here, but want to give some people the opportunity to let YouTube notify them. So we'll be chit-chatting for about 3 hours. And then hopefully one day... oh, what are we drinking tonight? So, Richie, why don't you start first?
I don't even know. I probably should have known this before I let you give it to me, but this is...
That's fair.
This is White Oak High Lie India Pale Ale.
It's pretty tasty, I'd say.
7.5%. That's not terrible. I'll be able to drive home.
Yeah. I've been trying to... And earlier you had a Ghetto Blaster, which is a...
That doesn't even count.
Motor City Brewing. It's a mild pale. It's only 3.5%, but it's very tasty for a sort of... lighter beer, I guess.
We have a comment that we should turn our mic up a bit.
Okay.
And looking at the levels, maybe there's some truth to that.
All right, let's turn that mic up a little bit.
Do mine need turned up as well?
We can turn you up over here.
Yeah, we'll turn you up a little bit.
We'll probably bump you a little bit too.
Okay, how about that? We'll try, I'll scoot in a little bit closer, and what do you think about that, Richie? Better?
Yeah, I think we're doing better.
Okay, here we go. Let us know if the levels are okay now, guys, if you want us to bump it up a little bit or not. We're still kind of in the testing phase, so yeah, but
I'd be for some beta questing.
Yeah.
I might be feeling that a little bit right now, actually.
I decided to do my wife a favor and get some of the Baltic out of the fridge. So I'm collecting the bottles in my basement right now. So this is Baltica number 3. Classic beer. So just as that's the flavor is classic beer. It's like some Russian was like, I don't know, like beer. You know, let's do beer, flavored beer. You know, so it's,
to be fair,
to approximate it, it's like a kind of like a Budweiser, I guess.
I mean, vodka is more Russia's. You know, that's their national beverage. The beer.
When you do try new beers, do you ever actually taste a big difference, or is it just like the tiniest difference
between different beers?
Flavor?
Oh, significant
between different like beer genres. There's a big difference between like individual items within like.
It depends,
but I mean, there's still variation with different beers, but especially with like the great number of microbreweries out there that only do India Pale Ales. Yeah. There's a lot of commonality in the India Pale Ale family.
There is, but I think people are doing a little bit better job now of branching out a bit. Like that IPA has a little bit of sweetness. It doesn't quite punch you in the back of the throat as much as some other IPAs, if you know what I mean. So I do like that IPA, whereas originally I didn't like IPAs that much. There's also stuff like All Day IPA from, I think, Founders.
And this one, it kind of reminds me of the All Day IPA, just a little bit.
Yeah, but between like
kick.
an IPA or like a mild ale, vastly different flavor. You know, or like a classic beer, just lager. You know, there's some good lagers, but the one I'm having is not good. And between that and like, you know, like a brown or an amber or a white or a wheat or, you know, whatever... a golden, like vastly different.
So there is a beer video game, Tapper. It's an old arcade video game. Pretty much exists only to publicize Budweiser, but it's actually still a really solid game for of the arcade era.
Oh, Far Out Ideas gave us a super chat, and I think this is a really important one, guys. He says, smoke weed every day, and he says this every podcast. And I think this is really important, guys, because here's the thing. When you have a backyard with a lot of weeds, you got to smoke them out. Smoke them out, smoke them out, smoke them out. Get rid of those weeds so you can have a lush, green, velvety lawn.
I live with my parents, so I know nothing about lawn care or weed smoking.
Yes. Of course. Melon Speedrun says, hey, I have a very special message for Jesse. Mind if I drop something big out? Oh man,
Nice.
when the melon has something, I think I might know what it is. As a matter of fact. But yes,
something for me as well.
Of course, yeah. You do what you need to do, Melon. We're gonna have Melon on the show as well soon. We're gonna be interviewing him with one of his projects, which maybe is what he's gonna be talking about. I'm not quite sure.
Very cool.
But let's go ahead, and I think we have enough. Oh, hang on. He says, we're hyped to announce that Ocarina of Time Online is getting a new update very soon and will blow all of your minds. Stay tuned this week. So that's very good.
I will stay tuned.
Yeah, I will stay tuned too.
I normally like to tune out because there's a lot of garbage out there.
That's some good stuff.
That's something to tune into.
Yeah, Melon Speedruns, he's the man. So speaking of which, Melon, we were actually brainstorming some ideas. I don't know if they're possible, but like just throwing this out there. Not this is like version 2.0, 3.0. I don't know if it's even possible, okay? But imagine if you got together with Arikita, like the most recent video I did about having the R-Wing playable, and someone could play online as the R-Wing, attacking Link.
That seems OP as hell.
Yeah, but the thing is, the R-Wing is under like powered a bit. You can adjust it, but like, wouldn't it be cool if you could have like the R-Wing flying around and
Link just holds his sword up and like cleaves it in half right down the middle,
blows off and shit. Yeah. It'd be so. If he says it should already work, oh my god, this would be so fun. This would be good. Okay, so let's actually get into the H4G Games Gaiden podcast proper. It seems like enough of you guys have been notified that we can go ahead and get started.
Now that you're all here, let's chase you all away.
Exactly, with our boring topics. No, so this is H4G Games Gaiden. This is our live podcast. For those of you that haven't watched before, this is H4G Games Gaiden, our side show, except it's live. And I'm going to use the joke I use every single time. You know, a lot of you guys, when you were watching H4G Games Gaiden, which was our sideshow, news, whatever, were like, why don't you do this live? You know, why don't you do it on Twitch?
Well, now you get what you asked for.
Now you get half of what you asked for, because I'm not going to Twitch, because I have no audience there. No one cares about me on Twitch. I only have YouTube. I don't want to split my audience. Maybe one day I'll do it, but today is
Probably
not that day. Yes, what do we say to the god of death? Not today. That's Twitch. But no, so basically we're doing it live. F it, we'll do it live. We're here. I'm Tony.
I'm Richie.
And this is GameOverJesse. Now, GameOverJesse, if you haven't watched his channel, I thought, well, first off, you should, but I thought that would be a great pairing for H4G Games. I've actually collaborated with him multiple times on different podcasts and episodes and such. But he does a ton of not only gaming news in general, but a lot of Zelda-related gaming news. So it's a really nice pairing with H4G Games because we focus a lot on beta content, mods, that kind of stuff, and he does as well, but he also keeps up with like everything Zelda, whereas we do not.
I try at least.
So Jesse, tell us a little bit about your channel. I know I kind of ranted and raved about it, but in your own words.
Yes, you can find it at youtube.com/GameOverJesse. Right now, the focus is the podcast, the Lyons Gamescast, where there's a few different sections. We cover whatever the most important news or whatever we felt was the most important Nintendo-related news from that week. And then we move on to a topic of discussion, which is maybe us giving like a retro review on a game from the past. And then we go into the Zelda mailbag, which is where, similar to how you guys sort of end your podcast, where fans just send in questions, you answer them, and move on. Other than that, we try focusing on Zelda-related news, like you mentioned, and we also like doing a bit of research and giving as much information as we can find about old, canceled, or beta versions of games. Also very similar to what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so there is a link to his channel in the description, guys. So if you're watching right now, either, you know, whenever it's convenient or before you leave, definitely check it out. Give him a sub. Click the old notification button because you know how broken YouTube is. But make sure that you check out his channel because there's a lot of really good content, especially when I'm on it. Especially when
Of course.
I just dragged the whole thing down, honestly. But you actually have a really cool team as well. How did you meet everybody on that team? Were they just like fans of the show, or?
Sort of. So I have Daniel, Kayla, and Ilya. I first met Daniel. He was writing for Zelda Informer when I was
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
doing some stuff with them. I was making some videos for them, and Daniel was editing them as well. But Daniel was just doing it for the fun of things. So I was like, hey, if you kind of maybe want to get paid for editing, you can come on over to my channel and help me with some videos. And he came over. He was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast someday? We did. It went well. It continued, and then we met Kayla. She worked with Daniel at a Starbucks, and she quit, went to another job, and she also happened to actually work part-time for Nintendo, going to different events and demoing games and everything. And then we finally met Ilya we did a this is actually interesting. You were on the video as well. It was the Wind Waker beta content or cut content. I'm sure you remember the video, but we had a competition where we had
I remember.
we had some fans send in some audio recordings to see who wanted to be on the video and read the script. There was 2 people that won, a girl, a guy. They both still sometimes do work for the channel, but Ilya started doing so much vocal work because she actually went to school to do voice acting and on-stage acting. So it was a kind of a perfect match, and she began recording in so many videos that we just kept inviting her on the podcast as a 4th guest, and now she just is one. So
yeah.
Nice.
So you should actually check out her channel, because I know that you have a degree in voice, but it's more like music, you know?
Right.
But her voice is so good. Like, when I was on the podcast with her, I'm like, you have such a good voice. Like, I was totally blown away. Like, not that I was expecting her to not have a good voice, but it was so good. So I started watching her channel. Geez, it's like the Nerd Apprentice, or what is the name of her channel again?
The Geek Apprentice.
The Geek Apprentice, sorry, the Geek Apprentice. And I periodically go over there, and she talks about different theories and such, and she has the most soothing voice. Like, she could put a screaming baby to sleep. Like, she just like has the best voice.
I mean, my voice can put people to sleep too. That's
but
not exactly a positive in the entertainment industry.
She's like the perfect calming like voice, and like her like cadence is like perfect when she. I don't know how to describe it other than just go ahead and watch The Geek Apprentice, because it's an undervalued channel. Like, I think it's still in the process of growing, but it's like so cool. Like, just I'll go and be like, oh, I need to calm down. I'll listen to
Ilya, help me out.
Let's jump into the comments here real quick here, because I thought there were some good ones.
A lot of people really want proof that we're hard for games.
So what proof do you have that you're as hard for games as you claim, Richie?
Richie. There's really no evidence at all. I could be lying to everybody. And who says I'm not?
Erroneous Click says Tony is hard for voice. Yeah.
I'm just gonna scooch a little bit then, you know. That's a little awkward.
Z Shrugs 123 says my dad's gay. Okay.
How did you come to be then? Were you adopted?
Oh.
Am I getting too deep in
podcast? Yeah, so either way, definitely check out the GameOverJesse channel. It does very good stuff. Lots of good Zelda content, news, theories, all sorts of stuff. So, and actually, how long have you been doing your channel, by the way? Because I know there was kind of a point in time where you had switched from sort of like a very active hobbyist to doing it like full time, right?
Yeah, so I began maybe around 3 to 4 years ago. So my daughter just turned 3 last month, and I began about 6 months before she was born. Thank you. So it was about 3 to 4 years, and I was writing for Zelda Universe at the time, and it was actually what inspired my channel was I was already writing for Zelda Universe, and my ex and I had just gone through a breakup, and that inspired me to start doing more.
Okay.
And by doing more, one of the thoughts I had was, and I explained this a minute ago while you were gone, was instead of writing articles making these websites money, why don't I just turn these articles into scripts and make myself money?
Yeah.
And turns out it was a smart idea.
Yeah, exactly, right. And I was gonna say too, like, I think when you first contacted me, like we've never had a ton of subscribers, but when you first contacted me back in like 2014 or something, I think we were like at like 6,000-7,000. I think you were at like 2,000 or 3,000, and then you shot way far above us. So, like, obviously, what you're doing is smarter than H4 Games in every way.
Well, I wouldn't say that. Like you guys were a huge inspiration to me. It was you, like H4 Games and Yuri of Wind, and luckily I've been able to become friends with both of you all. And it's just the focus on what could have been with all of this beta content and canceled games and everything. Oh, and you mentioned Geek Apprentice earlier. She's in the chat right now, as is the other person who won the competition, Ilya Rose. Saying she's hardcore blushing right now.
Oh, she heard me like gush about her amazing voice. So real quick, Ilya Rose does the Geek Apprentice if you're just tuning in, and her voice is like, and she kind of also looks a little bit angelic too. Like,
wow,
like,
you're just
like maybe.
You're
like,
a married man, Tony. You can't be so.
No, it's not an attraction thing. It's just that she's got like like blonde hair and like she's a little petite and wings, and then like her voice, like it like so good, so good. Oh my god, such a good voice.
I'll take a look. I promise.
You'll take a listen, is what you'll do, Richie.
Well, you said she's angelic too.
You can look at her too.
I can look and listen at the same time.
Yeah, you can look and listen. But no, she's
a very talented man.
You are.
I can look and listen.
I like you. We've been friends for a while. And just because you can do stuff like that. I mean, damn it, But anyways, but seriously though, she has an awesome channel and she talks about a lot of different like there was one episode she did where she was talking about how Zelda could be adapted into a movie and like what steps she thought they would have to take to make it successful. And it was a little bit different than things that I've heard in the past, but it all made sense, because I think a lot of people who are, hardcore fans of Zelda, they want what they want, but they don't take a step back and be like, okay, but films are not made that way. So she kind of like took a very like analytical approach. It's very cool. So
maybe I'll seek out that episode specifically.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna stop embarrassing her. And let's start the meat
into the topics.
Meat and potatoes. First topic in the news is the update for the Switch. We're going to call it the Switch Pro or the new Switch or the Switch Plus or whatever. But essentially news broke that Nintendo, despite them saying that they wouldn't, is updating the Nintendo Switch, which of course makes sense because that's just what you do. And they did that with the 3DS. There's the new 3DS. PlayStation did that with the PlayStation Pro. Back when H4 Games got a Switch and we were talking about it, I was talking about it, I guess. I took the day off work and did a video, and I was like, okay, here are the things I think Nintendo will eventually do. I think they're going to come out with a new version eventually that'll have better battery and then better screen, because it's only like 720 right now, and slightly enhanced, but Nintendo's version of it is slightly enhanced, which is really slightly enhanced RAM, processor, or GRAM. One of the three, or possibly all three, just to keep it competitive as the next generation comes out, just to make it powerful enough.
I like this concept of orgy RAM.
Yes. Just, yeah, exactly. Ooh. Yeah, I like that.
See, you got it.
Yeah, I did. It took me a second. Just to make it competitive enough to still attract third-party titles, because they have to downgrade their games to get on Switch. Go from 60 FPS to 30, go from 4K to like a 920 or something like that, depending on the game. But they need to get just enough power in there so when your PlayStation 5 comes out, it needs to be still marketable, competitive, etc. So those were sort of my predictions, but they might not be right. What do you think Nintendo will actually do? Richie, we'll start with you.
As far as what they're actually going to do, I think it's inevitable that they make some sort of Switch Pro because it was slightly less powered than most of the competing consoles on launch.
Slightly wasn't a nice way to
but
understatement.
It travels, which the PS4 and the Xbox don't. So I think that's a significant point. And I did bring it on my vacation with me, and it saved me from a terrible, terrible experience in the airport. We just got moved around on flights so often, and I had my Switch with me, and like I actually enjoyed spending time in the airport.
Oh, okay, good.
Because I had my Switch, and it really wasn't bad. I was still really fucking pissed, but
as one is.
But yeah, I don't know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to release a Switch Pro type of thing at some point in time. Yeah. It's going to have enhanced stats and everything like that. What I'd really like is just a little bit larger of a screen. Not crazy.
Yeah.
But like when I play Octopath Traveler in the handheld mode, some of the text is a little bit...
Yeah. What do you... So, Jesse, before we go over to you, I'm just throwing this out there, and you can comment on this too. I was also thinking that they, like, because Nintendo, you never know what they're going to do. Like, they're, I mean, like, here, they come out with Labo or what, it's like, what the hell's happening? So.
Oh, that was the Switch Pro. We're actually totally wasting our time here.
So it's like, in the back of my head, I'm like, maybe they'll make the screen bigger, or maybe they'll make it smaller. Or maybe they'll have both, because it's like, they'll be like, wow, it's really working as a handheld. Let's really make it a handheld,
How about the Switch patch? You've got the whole like game right on your eye, like Perfect. The R zone.
Like the R zone. So Jesse, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so with making it smaller, if you remember, they already had the Game Boy Advance, which was already kind of a tiny screen, and then they released the Game Boy Micro, which was literally teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Like whenever I seen a few people playing it out in the real world, and because I never thought anyone would play it outside of commercials or people that Nintendo just gave them to, because the screen was literally just so tiny. It was like a more of a gimmick than anything.
Yeah.
And I didn't think anyone would actually want to buy them, but they did. So maybe they were onto something with these teeny tiny Game Boy games.
Yeah. The Nintendo system, you can get past customs.
Yeah, exactly. But with the Switch Pro, regardless of what it's going to be called, and I've seen a lot of people online saying, no, Nintendo wouldn't release an upgraded version of the Switch. That's not what they do. They're not PlayStation. They're not Xbox. But if you remember, literally every single Nintendo handheld console has had some sort of upgrade, and almost every home console, aside from the Wii U, maybe the Wii U, they had like the white version and then the black version that had a larger hard drive. But I don't know if you could really call that an upgrade. But the Game Boy had the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy Advanced had the Game Boy Advanced SP. The Nintendo DS had the DSi, DSi XL, DSi Lite, whatever other versions they had. The 3DS had the 3DS, new 3DS. The original Famicom had the Disk System add-on. The Super Famicom had the Satellaview. That was sort of an upgrade. Let you play games that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to. The Nintendo 64 had the disk drive. The GameCube had the Game Boy Advanced player, the online add-on, whatever it was called. The Wii had the Wii Mini, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
It was more of a downgrade, though, because it took away online and stuff. So for the people saying that Nintendo would not release something like this, if you go with the pattern that Nintendo has set, it's more than likely that it's just not if they release it, but when they release it.
Yeah.
And with making a larger screen, I could see them doing something to where they just thin out the bezel so the screen's larger, but the actual size of the unit itself is the same size. That way you can still bring over all of your Joy-Cons and stuff. And yeah, I think if they did upgrade it, it would be more of an upgrade than the 3DS was to the new 3DS, but I don't know if it would actually be a huge upgrade like the PS4 to the PS4 Pro was. And with Nintendo, because you mentioned Nintendo said that they wouldn't be releasing a new version of the Switch, I always remember back to an interview with Miyamoto where he was asked right after the 3DS released on whether or not Nintendo would release a 3DS XL, because I think it was an IGN interview or something, and they were smart like most people are, and they were like, well, the Nintendo DS had all of these different versions. The 3DS is just the successor to the DS. So when can we expect all of these different versions of the 3DS to release? And Miyamoto said something along the lines of, we at Nintendo think that the 3DS is perfect as it is, and we don't see us iterating on any future versions of it. 3 months later, he walks out on stage and announces the 3DS XL. So
Yeah.
I know that's, NDAs, and you want to keep it a surprise for marketing and everything. So I understand why he said that, but at the same time, you have to read between the lines whenever they say something.
Yeah. Yeah, they released the 2DS, I think maybe XL was a thing, and the 3DS XL, the 3DS Plus, or whatever the hell it was, you know what I mean? And I think the 3DS Plus might be along the lines of what they do with the Switch, because it was like, well, everything still functions back and forth, except a couple games you can't play on the original, but really just like Xenoblade, and there's much more processing power, like, so much,
Maybe what they're actually going to do is they're going to release a Switch phone.
Oh, nice.
Maybe. A couple questions here. Obviously, very, being our audience, unrelated to what we're talking about. Says, why do you guys always drink so much? And then there's people talking about being so hard drains your vital fluids. So I think
alcohol is very
you guys
hydrating.
answered your own question.
This ship is actually pretty cool. I would sail on that ship.
Yeah, that's my grandfather's naval goblet of fire. So it's good stuff. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers the Switch Pro. I mean, I'm excited for it. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with it, but it's Nintendo, so literally anything could happen. They're gonna be like, it's gonna be the Switch, but there's gonna be no internet, and it's gonna cost $50 more, but there's this much more GRAM. You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. Like,
if it allows me to play Breath of the Wild at a steady 30 frames, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's just they're insane. Sega CD Universe says, I miss you, Tony. You don't write or call anymore. Oh my goodness. Okay.
And actually, there's one comment up here that I wanted to respond to.
Okay.
Oh,
let's do that.
Oh, it's only one, because nobody else in the world would be interested in this. Oh man, I lost it. Well, there was a comment in there that was asking us if Google Plus really shut down.
Well, they are shutting down. That brings us to our next topic. Richie, did you want to quarterback this one, or you want me to?
I mean, I feel like this whole Google Plus thing, there was a big security breach, right?
Yes, and they didn't tell anyone about it because they claimed it didn't reach their threshold of necessity to tell people about it, and they fixed it, but they never told anyone.
But I just like that. Obviously, it's because the social network had never taken off in the first place that
Correct.
they decided to shut it down.
Yeah.
But I still just like to think of it as, Google saw that Google Plus had a terrible, we lost your data. No big deal, whatever.
Whoopsie doodle.
But we'll shut the network down. Whereas Facebook is just like, yeah, everybody's got your data, and we don't really know how to police content, but let's just do censoring. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I think Google's also like, all right, well, we had this content breach, and this thing's been on life support. Like, this is a good excuse. Pull the plug. So for those of you that don't know, like we mentioned, Google had a security breach. They didn't tell anyone. And yeah. So I don't know who actually utilizes Google Plus here, but essentially I think it was like 2012 or something like that.
I thought you were saying the number of people who used it. Like there were 20, 12.
No. I think it was the year 2012. I could be off on that by a year or two, give or take. But basically they created a competitor to Facebook, but unlike...
Competitor is a strong word.
A potential competitor to Facebook. So, for example, you have a competitor like Twitter, which does Facebook, but much differently. It has a different set of rules, which makes Twitter much more immediate than Facebook, you know. Or you have Instagram, which was absorbed into Facebook, but originally it was doing the social media thing, but in a different way. It was all image-based.
Right.
Image. Of course, you can have a lot of text, but it's all about the image. There's specific standards for what the images can be like. They have to be a certain way. They have to be a certain resolution, but you can gussy them up however, right? So they were trying to do Facebook without doing Facebook. Google Plus attempted to do Facebook as Facebook was doing it with slight variation. So, for example, they allowed you to have levels of friendship, like acquaintance, family, friend, you know, so you could like dictate like what level saw what sort
Which
of
has
information.
been since somewhat integrated into Facebook.
Somewhat. Yeah. But when I saw that Google Plus was going down the drain, I said, thank God. Like, if anyone ever wanted any sort of evidence of a Lord above, that is it. Because Google, like, when they created Google Plus, they're like, hey, guess what? We also own YouTube. So there was a period of time where they're like, hey, YouTubers, you need to register through Google Plus now. You have to re-register everything through Google Plus. Oh, by the way, we don't use usernames. It has to be a first and last name. So we had to be H4Games Reviews as our last name, was our last name. So it would often appear as reviews dash or comma H4Games.
Why couldn't Hardfur be our first name and Games be our
because
last
then it was
name?
this weird separation, and then sometimes one of them wouldn't show up.
I'm gonna name my kids Hardfur.
Hardfur. So
Hardfur walls.
there was a
maybe not.
There was a point.
Maybe not.
There was a point in time where Google Plus was insisting we change our name before they would allow us to utilize H4Games Reviews, because I think at the point in time they're like, that's not a name, you know. So there was I was looking for the old email, I couldn't find it because I think it went up in a message where I told you and John, and I'm like, when you log in, you're gonna get a pop-up that's Google Plus telling you have to change the name, or you can select do it later. Select do it later, and we just avoided it for months and months and months and months until they finally changed their policy and we were allowed to use our name. Like they wanted us to change our friggin' channel name. And for a while, all notifications were through Google Plus. Like you had to it was so weird. Like they were like shoving it down your throat so hard. It sucked. And then as the years went by, I would still periodically get a notification from Google Plus about H4Games, but it would be on my personal account, and it would always be like a month and a half after the video was released, and it would be like every 10th video this would happen. And I'm just like, what the heck with Google Plus is contacting me about a video I did like way back, you know. So it's like, it was just broken to begin with, and unnecessary. So I'm sorry, that's my rant. I need to give Jesse a turn to talk here, but go ahead, sir. I'll let you start the next one. But what are your thoughts on Google Plus's demise?
Yeah, so I never had a real purpose for Google Plus. Whenever I'm talking to friends as it is now, there's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You can just text or call them, Discord, Skype. There's so many different things. Having Google Plus was just that one extra thing that I did not need. Yet I still had that one friend who would try to message me on it. And I completely understand what you guys are saying about the H4Games reviews, because that is exactly why my channel name is GameOverJesse. GameOverJesse. Luckily, they didn't try telling me that Game Over was not a real name, so I guess I kind of lucked out with that.
Yeah.
I feel Game Over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel bad for the people who do use it religiously. I don't know why they would choose to torture themselves, but I do feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Just as with the people who only use Twitter and never use Facebook, they would feel the same way. Like if Twitter ended and then they had to convert to Facebook,
they'll learn to hate Facebook just like we do.
Yes, I imagine it's a similar situation to the people who do use Google Plus like that. I wonder how it's going to affect the Google or the YouTube channels that are signed up through Google Plus.
I mean, that's pretty much all of them. Like, at least from that era. So, I mean, like, we are. But they'll probably just disintegrate, as in, like, disintegrate, not disintegrate, like deintegrate. I guess I should have said. The connection.
They're going to pull out.
They're going to pull out.
Like this is integrated. Yeah. This is unintegrated.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so
I understand it now that I've seen the visual.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I can't. That's a comment.
I guess the good
hilarious,
message is for everyone who has pictures saved on Google Plus, download all of those pictures.
Yeah,
so you don't lose them.
Yeah,
that's probably the only helpful thing that's been said in the history of this podcast.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I don't know, like Google Plus. Like I'm just so vindictive against Google Plus because they were like I'm generally the one who manages the sort of the back end of the channel, and it was just like, why is YouTube and Google making this so hard? Like they just like for games, but they weren't making it hard for games. They're just making it difficult, like hard equals difficult, you know, that kind of thing. Don't get confused, but no, it was just such a pain. Anyways,
but yeah, I feel like this was a mercy killing for sure.
Yes,
I just wish it didn't require Google responding to horrible privacy violations for that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Out of the bad comes good, I guess. Okay, so do we want to talk about the official Nintendo ROM hack that they released for Zelda, or do we want to go on to our best worst comments? What would you like to do, Jesse?
It is completely up to you guys. I have a few of my worst comments memorized. If you guys want to go straight to that.
Let's do that one.
I think either is a fun conversation.
So we're taking a little break from our primary news topics, and we're going to talk about the best worst comments you guys have given us, because we've gotten a lot of them lately. Especially because I make jokes about drinking, because people seem to get so riled up. They're like, you 33-year-old man drinking a beer.
I'm turning 33 in like a week, so you are 32 right now.
Yeah, my comment that I left earlier on your R-Wing video that just went up yesterday, I think. Yeah, it was kind of a joke leaning towards that, where people were all complaining. So I was just like, how dare a mature man respectably drink a beer in his own home? Or something.
Yeah, how dare a man who's past a decade past the drinking age in the U.S. drink 1 to 2 beers once a week with his friends? How dare, you know? So those are kind of the comments we've been getting lately. But Jesse, I've been talking a lot. Why don't you take some of your best worst comments?
Oh, okay.
And start her off here.
Okay, so from memory, what I have is on some of my Zelda theory videos, which Zelda theories is kind of what my channel began on. I still occasionally do them, but literally everything you can think of for a theory has already been covered, and you don't want to tread the mud. So on one theory in particular involves the origins of Fierce Deity Link and Majora and Majora's Mask. And someone in the comments will always bring up, well, did you not read the manga? The manga explains this. And the manga are not canon to the games. A lot of the stuff that happens in the manga will completely go against what the game tells you, such as in Ocarina of Time. The manga for it tells you that as a child, when Link goes to Hyrule Castletown for the first time, he enters the bazaar and he adopts a baby dragon that is Volvagia, or however you pronounce the name.
That he then has to fight as an adult?
Yeah. So that's
brutal.
What happens in the manga. And we know you don't even hear about the dragon until you're an adult and you go to Goron City and they tell you, Ganon's resurrected this dragon that was defeated by the ancient hero or whatever. So I keep bringing up those quotes. And there's another thing where when the manga first starts, Link goes to the Deku Tree and he fights Queen Goma, which is the boss of the Deku Tree, outside of the tree. And there's even a conversation between Queen Goma and Link. And there's a bunch of these different things. And the manga leaves out like 5 of the dungeons from the game. So I always bring up these examples about how the manga isn't canon, but then they still try to argue as if you insulted their intelligence for it, and it's just like, no, don't. Like, it's okay to say, like, oh no, this is a stupid theory because of this reason. Because in the end, it's all just make believe. Everyone comes up with their own ideas.
There's
on
no Hyrule
and everything. Yeah, so that's one of the big ones that I have that people always go to. Or that another one is, some people will say like Super Mario 64 2 was never a thing. You made that up. And I'm just like, well, if you watch the video, there's interviews of Miyamoto talking about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can say that I made it up, but are you going to say the person who created and worked on it made it up?
Right.
It's like, you know, I don't know. It's just some kind of dumb comments that it's like if you watch the video, you'll see the answer. Those are a couple of mine that I get all the time.
It's like in literature class when the kids always ask, like, what happens at the end of the book? Well, you're supposed to be reading it because it's assigned reading, so maybe just wait for it.
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah. I guess another one is whenever people claim... I got this a lot whenever I was doing news for Breath of the Wild. They would claim clickbait, and like the video title would be exactly what the interview with Fujibayashi or Aonuma would be talking about. And I would make the joke that I could have a video of a close-up of a basketball and title the video basketball, and people would still comment clickbait.
Yeah, obviously I want you to click my content, otherwise I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the point. After all, we are just all whores for attention. Especially.
Yeah, but I'm interested in your guys's.
Ours are a little more aggressive. Those are good though, because you know everyone's had that where it's like, hey, you know, someone's just who insists that they're right. You know, like they insist they're right, but it's like, well, listen, man, like.
But I mean, he was talking a little bit about Ocarina of Time, and I feel like that leads into the the first one we have here for us.
Yeah. So this is actually a new one. Now, back in the day, as a child, I pronounced it Ocarina, like O-R, which isn't a thing. That's just the name I pronounced it as a kid. I made that up in my head, and I just
it's an
always
ocarina built out of rare ores rather than the traditional, you know, like wood and ceramic.
But this comment confuses that explanation that I gave years ago with a completely different pronunciation. So we pronounce it ocarina, but he says, or she possibly, says, it's Ocarina of Time, you fucking retard. I know you started saying ocarina as a kid who can't read.
Wow.
So some people do say ocarina. We say ocarina because in the Midwest accent, O's are often A's, right? So but I've also heard like official... like advertisements and such saying ocarina.
And to be a little bit of a linguistics nerd, the sound that comes out when you say ocarina isn't it's ah.
Yeah.
It's an open O.
Yeah.
So it's very common in Italian.
Yeah.
I don't really know the historical origin of the word ocarina, but I like ocarina.
Yeah,
I think it's fine. I did have a problem with Ocarina. That
wrong.
ground my gears.
That you should have said something during the episode. But
I like to respect my friend from time to time.
From time to time. Yeah. So there was that one. One person commented Macarena. Okay, another one here. It says, the booze is so incredibly cringy. I'm sorry. I drink all the time. It's not an alcohol thing. It's an that is just embarrassing as shit thing. It's so distracting and nonsensical to me that I think I'm just going to stop clicking your videos from now on.
I wanted to be drinking for that whole comment, so.
Exactly. Oh. Now, I printed out a comment thread from me and this one guy from like a year ago, and this guy, like, this is a thesis on everything that's wrong with me. And I made sure to wear a graphic tee today because he specifically mentioned part of the problem with me is that my entire personality sort of like rotates around wearing a tight graphic tee. So Richie, why don't you
let's do this as a dialogue even.
Okay, so you'll be
I'll be Techno Pop Tart.
Okay.
You can be Hard for Games.
Okay.
If you didn't take a patronizing tone throughout, this would have been a great video.
And I don't even remember what video this was on, by the way. Oh no, actually it was a GameCube NPDP reader video. I said, what? That's just me being excited about finding a unit that I've been looking for. It's just how I sound. I didn't intend that at all.
So the structuring and the inflection is not an attempt to talk down to the audience, but an anomaly caused by the excitement? I find that a bit hard to take, but if it's not how you usually speak, I'm willing to give another video a try before I make a final judgment on how I feel about this channel.
Maybe it's just my voice, but why would I even want to talk down to the audience? It's counterintuitive. If anything, it's not intentional.
Now, prepare yourselves for this.
I'm gonna sit back.
I'm gonna need to take a breath here because this is where it gets long.
This is just a real quick, if you don't mind. This is his comment back.
Oh.
It's a trend with some popular channels to try and talk to young persons under 18s, and some people either intentionally or subconsciously attempt to simplify things or else slow down their natural speech spacing, not pacing, spacing, so as to keep from overwhelming young ears. It is, like you said, counterintuitive, but it's rather common, and with YouTube getting its panties in a twist, ooh, there's some wrongness there, about being family friendly, there is certainly incentive to try and make a channel more agreeable to children. This being said, I just watched 2 other videos, and though you spoke much more naturally and without the insulting tone in that second and in a third, you were mostly natural sounding, but had several moments that were a bit forced and cringy, though it was less patronizing and more stereotypical. It may be presumptuous of me to make my judgments based on thereabouts 20-ish minutes of video, but it feels like you are trying to gain audience approval through copying tried methods of advertising. In one video, you act like you are shilling to children and accompany it with higher tones, lots of wide-eyed looks at the camera and excessive amounts of gesturing and touching of the systems. In another, you are laid back and treating the situation like a React video with loud tones, inconsistent voice modulation, fake surprise noises, whoa! And much less looking at the camera, with the focus being on the game and your companion. Ooh, your companion.
My companion. Probably you or whoever was on
And
screen.
in a third, you took on a rather hipsterish air, down to the blue ribbon beer trope coupled with excessive facial expressions and a bizarre oscillation between manic grins and jaded millennial sarcasm done in a lower register than the first video, and sitting near the bottom of the register in the second.
I was groggier during one video and I had more energy during another.
The 3 videos all have a distinct personality to them that does not match the other 2 and come off as rather false. You can't feel different ways about different things? Okay, I gotta keep on topic here. Honestly, I don't know how to feel about it at all. I don't inherently dislike the heavily descripted manufactured videos, but the lack of constancy is a bit jarring, and the odds are against me with 2 types of videos I found rather off-putting, and one type that I generally only tolerate when the subject is exceptionally well handled. You have really cool gear. Hey! And I really want to see more about it, but I'm not sure I have the ability to pay attention to what is being shown when I am getting constant checks on the mental list of cliches. I wish you the best of luck, really do, and hope you find a style that suits you, but as someone who has to self-promote and make their work into a brand, on its own, I can tell you that you really need to find some consistency in what you are putting out that goes deeper than tight-fitting graphic tees and a slight oblique angle. Well, that was something.
And then there was another guy that commented, just a random person, that said, there was absolutely nothing patronizing about this video. You sound like a douche, my friend. I don't know what your motives are, but try picking up a hobby instead of making an ass of yourself in the comment section of YouTube videos. 3 thumbs up.
But if you do pick up a hobby, you might end up like us, which, not that great.
Yeah. So, you know,
yeah, I guess I probably still need the topics.
Yeah, you do.
He used enough long words in there that I felt like he was trying to make himself seem more educated by using longer words.
Yeah. Now we have a bunch of people commenting on this, which is interesting. Chops McCartney, who actually created our modified Game Boys, which were pretty amazing. So I don't mean to flatter. But I like H4G Games because it's just... Sorry, the comments are kind of moving up and down here. Because it's just been a passion channel as opposed to doing what every other gaming channel does. They don't follow the tropes the other channels use. And then Lily says, I mean, I was pissed enough when I found out people hated H4G for being seen as experts, which you never claimed to be, to the point of, to the, quote, point of sending them things to show on their channel. You know, it's funny because I, occasionally would go on... Assembler Games, which is like a hub of individuals talking about prototypes and betas and such. And you'll have, like, people are kind of like when you bring hard for games up, which I don't, I just see it now and again because people tell me about it. Some people are like very much like, these people can't be trusted. They're showing prototypes on YouTube channels.
We do drink in our videos.
Yeah, they're getting like, using this to get views and like that, whatever. But then other people are like, it's just they're passionate about it and they're bringing like awareness.
How dare you?
You know what I mean? Like it's like there's kind of like this thing where it's like, well, I liked that, and if you like that, and if you talk about it in a way that slightly deviates from the way that I would talk about it, even though I wouldn't talk about it, so it doesn't even matter, I'm going to be mad. It's just a weird thing. And so, like...
It's like when I criticize the difficulty balance of a game. It's, I mean, I talk about it assertively and all that good stuff, but, I mean, it's a really difficult thing to balance difficulty to an audience of millions. Likewise, it's difficult to balance your blah, 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 blah to an audience of not millions, but, people.
See, okay, now I feel bad because Ilya says, this sounds so vain, regarding what you had read. But the comments on my vids I don't like are the ones that are like, are you single? Which, of course, that's their own business. Are you pretty? And I'm like, thank you, but do you enjoy the video though? Smiley face. And then here I am being like, she has an amazing voice and looks angelic. I just go totally contributing to the delinquency of the comment section on her videos.
We got to bring down this patriarchy, Tony. Come on.
Yeah, but you did it in a complimentary
because she's talented.
Right. Yeah, whereas they did it in a hey
baby.
Hey baby.
Yeah. They're basically they're Johnny Bravo is who they are.
Our Johnny Bravo or the character on the cartoon show?
No, the character.
Oh, okay. Well, because our Johnny Bravo, who does our wrestling stuff, is he plays a heel in wrestling. So he is an a-hole. Like, that's his character. And people are like, oh my God. Most people are like, yeah, it's so cool, Johnny Bravo's. But then you get the occasional comment and that's like, wow, he's really patronizing. It's like, that's his job.
Right.
He is a heel.
You're supposed to not like him.
Like, if you know anything about wrestling, which I don't, but I know what a heel is. They're the guy who's the bad guy,
Oh, this is the heel. It's John. Everybody hates John Speed.
Everyone hates John Speed. Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to our...
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if they get you to dislike them, that just means they're good at their job.
Yeah. Exactly. Because that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're the bad guy.
Maybe we should be heel for games.
Heel for games, yeah.
I'll wear stilettos to every shit.
You're not already? Let's talk about the official original Zelda, NES ROM hack that Nintendo released on the Switch. So essentially what it is if you were playing for the Nintendo Switch online service, you get a X number of playable NES games, and they essentially created like a save state. And in some areas it's called Zelda SP, in some it's called Living the Life of Luxury, which is kind of neat. And basically it just starts you off in the game with all equipment, lots of money, and basically it nerfs the difficulty. You still have to explore, but basically it's just like you could pay for whatever you want. You start off with everything. It's just sort of a different way to experience the game, I guess. So, it starts you off with 255 rupees, I believe, which the original Zelda, I don't know if you remember, but it's hard to get currency in that game. Like, it's tough. Like, everything's expensive. You rarely come across enough. So, questions I, or topics I wanted to bring up regarding it is obviously everyone's thoughts, but, what other games would it be exciting to have this sort of treatment, like a ROM hack? And secondarily, I've also read some articles. There's one on the GQ magazine UK that was upset about basically Nintendo nerfing Zelda, even though no one really has to play Zelda this way. They were upset about that. So I wanted to get your opinions. Jesse, let's start with you. You're the resident Zelda expert. What were your thoughts when you first heard about this? What other games could use this treatment? Overall thoughts. Begin.
Okay, so my overall thoughts on this is I think it's a great idea for some of the younger gamers who are little kids or people who haven't, like, they've heard horror stories of how hard it might be to get through the original 2 Legend of Zelda games, especially the second one for me, which I hope they kind of do the same thing for it. Which is another game they could do it for. But starting you out with like a lot of rupees and stuff, even though you're getting all of the rupees, you can still do a few things to mess up your save file to where I know there's like moblins or bokoblins, whatever they are in this game, where they'll be like, hey, you can buy this potion or you can buy this heart. And someone who doesn't know better may buy the potion and then lose their chance of leveling up all of their hearts. But I just think it's great for the younger people. People complaining about it nerfing. It's not a permanent change to the actual game. It's a second game altogether. So I don't understand why they're complaining because they can still play the original. So that's just my thoughts. The only games that I could really think of is some people seem to think Zelda 2 is a lot harder than the original Zelda. So maybe if they did this type of easy mode for it, the original Metroid or even Super Metroid, giving you all of the stuff from the very beginning would be the same thing for younger gamers who might get in and get a little bit confused. But I feel like getting lost and figuring out where to go and all of the backtracking in those games is what teaches you how to play it. So if you get somewhere and you're stuck, it tells you that you need to go back to another place. And hopefully you've gotten an item that'll let you access a different area in the room that you were in previously. But if you have all of the weapons at the very beginning, then when you get to that place where you would typically have to start backtracking, you can just go past it. So it takes the fun away. I don't necessarily know if it would be a good fit for that game, but that's really the only one that I could think of, because other games like Punch Out, there's no need for it because like it's just, learning patterns. With Mario Kart games, all the fun's in the challenge of racing. The original Mario games, there's already certain glitches or tricks that you can do to get a bunch of one-ups. I personally, I can't really think of anything unless they apply it to an RPG. The only thing that I would like to see in an RPG-like game is if you played the HD or the PC version or the PlayStation 4 version of like Final Fantasy VII. They have like it doesn't give you anything extra, but it speeds the game up to 3 times the usual speed, so you can just grind through the game without it taking hours. I think something like that would be kind of an easy mode. But what do you guys think? I can't really think of anything.
What do you think, Richie?
For me, especially on like the Nintendo era, I feel like easy modes of this nature would be kind of difficult to pull off because there were only a few games that actually did like a lot of true save files. Like if you want to get all the weapons in a Mega Man, you can just put in a password and you have all the weapons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, because like, I mean, I've never had a problem with cheating in games at all. Like most of my early experiences with like RPG games, I cheated my way through most of those because I wanted to just play the story, and I've been only really getting into the RPG genre as like a game genre in the past like 5-10 years or so. But like I kind of agree with what Jesse said about having the stuff in Zelda not really being the core challenge of Zelda. Like, obviously, you kill enemies in fewer hits with a better sword and things like that. So it definitely makes it easier. But I always thought that the hardest thing about Zelda was that there were so many little tricks to getting through the areas and actually finding areas. And, oh, by the way, you have to make the map yourself.
Yeah. When I originally played, I mean, not when I originally played, but when I first beat the original Zelda, because I played it multiple times, but never really got very far. I was playing on the 3DS Virtual Console with like save states, and that even with like the benefit of having like a save state, my God, that game is hard. Like I can't even deal with Zelda 2. Like I don't have the patience for it. Like I've played it, but I die so quickly. That I'm just like, whatever.
There are also a lot of better platformers on the NES.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I would be interested in seeing, Zelda 2 I think is a good candidate. I think doing the reverse for easy games would be interesting. Like making Kirby like a bullet hell would be fun, because Kirby's a beginner game, and that's literally what they made it for, is to be a game for beginners. And what if you like amped the difficulty? Like quadruple the number of enemies on screen. Like, so you have to constantly react, sucking, blowing, right? Not inappropriately, but like,
Sure.
you know what I mean, right? Like everywhere, like you have to like deal with like a lot of stuff at once versus the more casual pace of Kirby could definitely switch it up. So I think it's like Kirby's Adventure on the one on the NES. That was like the late release that, actually a bigger file size than Mario World. And it was a great game, but what if we could make those easy games more difficult?
Yeah, just
Do the
just
reverse.
a little bit more sucking and blowing.
Yeah, just a little bit more. We could always use a little more.
Just
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
please no shoot Kirby.
Yeah, so I don't know. I this isn't a sort of thing that I really mind or have like a super strong opinion about, but obviously let us know what your thoughts are in the comments section.
And ultimately, like something like this, I think I would love to see in more games, just more customizability for the end user. Because, like I was saying a little bit earlier in the podcast, it's really hard to tune a game to such a wide audience because everybody is going to have different strengths, different weaknesses. And part of the fun of a game is to sort of grow some of your weaknesses, enjoy some of your strengths.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some things that I'm never going to be an A+ platformer player. Never, ever. I don't have the hands for it. So sometimes a little bit of a boost for my little challenged self, it broadens the number of games that I can play. And, I'm not an expert type of guy. I like to sample a lot of the different possibilities out in the world. So, I think this is a plus, and especially things like this that don't break the game. You still have the original experience there when you're ready for it or you want it. Yeah. What's bad about that?
This isn't something I would necessarily play, but I'm like you said, I'm glad that it's there. There's nothing wrong with it. Like if Nintendo wants to go through these games and modify them and release them, it's not like a George Lucas scenario where it's like the special editions are the only editions you can watch. It's not like that. You could go back and watch the other, play the originals, and there's lots of venues where you can, including the one where the new one's on, So one thing I would like to see is that Nintendo has just been so NES focused with everything they've ever done. Move on. Give us some crazy adjustments on the Super Nintendo. Give us the friggin' Virtual Boy. Give us something we haven't seen in a while,
And also,
that's what I want.
The other thing, this kind of brings me back to the days of rented video. When you could go down to Blockbuster, Video Palace, whatever sort of totally outdated
local
place.
Adult bookstore, yeah.
But it was cool to rent a game and play somebody else's save file on that game. See how they approach the game. Get to piggyback off of all their work. It was fun.
I haven't thought about that in a while. Kind of like flashback, because you'd always play the game, have a save file, and you would hope that when your parents would let you rent it next week, that A, it was there, and B, that no one deleted your save file, but then
or ruined it.
And occasionally you would get someone deleted it. Occasionally you would get someone ruined it. Or occasionally you'd luck out and it'd still be there, and you'd continue your progress because maybe it's an obscure RPG and only a couple people rented it, and they had some respect, and there were other save slots. Or maybe they would be like, all right, well, there's all 3 are taken. I'm gonna delete the one with the least progress. So it's like, let the winner be the winner, let the loser be the loser. That kind of stuff. I think, I haven't thought about that in a long time. Blast from the past, man. Oh my goodness.
That's what we do here at H4G Games.
Blast from the past.
We blast you with the past.
That's right. So, next up, I wanted to talk about a very, very recent ROM hack. For those of you that remember the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which was like the Mario cartoon with the live action segment beforehand, they made a ROM hack of Mario 64 with that. So I was going to go ahead and play the trailer here, and then if we have time, I'll do a little bit of gameplay if I can get the controller work. I don't want to take too much because Jesse can't really see what I'm doing, although I could do a screen share with him. Which I may very well do.
He's been responding to the comments, so he probably has the video up or whatever.
So this is going to have some sound. Might have to adjust it.
Hey, paisanos! It's the Super Mario Brothers Super Show! paisanos.
It's amazing. Yeah, so basically, it says exactly what it is, and it gives gameplay. And they chose on the cartoon what they were mimicking. Let me go ahead and I'm gonna do a screen share with you, so you'll see. So can you see that now? What we're looking at, Jesse?
Yes, yes. I'm
Okay.
also playing the trailer on my end.
Okay. So as you can see here, these are meatballs.
That's really cool, actually. That last level,
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, I played it a little bit the other night. Quick note, if you're going to play it on... Obviously, you have to play it on an emulator, although I think it might be console compatible. I have to double check. Make sure that it is in 8 megabyte mode, because that basically means that it requires the expansion pack. It will not play without that mode enabled. So I was invited...
this is like...
This is legit. Like, it's a... Gotta turn this down because it has actual Mario music and we're gonna get flagged.
But I mean, you don't see all that many hack projects that like introduce new content like that.
No.
And I mean, it's still the same assets from like Mario 64, but
Yeah.
those were totally different levels.
And not all of them were the same assets, too. They modified and created a lot of new stuff, too. Here, we'll stop the screen share there. There we go. Yeah, so, like,
That's
super
an awful
cool.
lot of work to hack Mario Super Show into the game.
One
but
guy goes, I didn't know I needed this.
Neither did I, but I do now.
Yeah, so why don't we plug in here for a second, and then, Jesse, I'll set up the screen share so you can see what the hell we're doing here.
Right. This seems like it started out as a joke.
Oh, you
and
know
then
what?
They just went with it.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
You're actually frozen with your camera.
Oh.
Would you mind shutting the camera off and turning it back on?
Yes. Hello?
I
Can
don't
you
know
see
if
me?
Did we maybe screw it
Oh,
up when
yeah,
we
here we go.
shared his screen? There
Possibly,
he
but
is.
you're back now, so that's good.
Okay,
When
great.
we were streaming with Shelby, she would just get stuck in these faces where it looked like she was angry. So we would
I was
just
watching that episode.
Yes,
It
It
was-
looked like.
yeah. And then I was like, Shelby, don't be so mad. You know, like it's gonna be okay.
Was it something I said?
Yeah, exactly. For those of you that don't know, Shelby is our editor. She's the one that allows me to actually spend time with my...
Oh dear, we've got a
Uh-oh.
tangle go.
Gotta tangle. Oh man, hang on. This is getting wacky, guys. This is getting too wacky. I only have so many USB ports. Is the problem?
It would not be an official podcast without technical issues.
Does that make it worse? We're just gonna have to deal with it. We're just gonna have to be all tangled, like that movie.
Or
Tangled.
we're untangled.
Oh, there you go. Like that movie, Untangled.
That's a pretty decent movie.
Yeah. All right, let's... Oh, that's right, I don't have my mouse anymore, so I gotta use this one. Let's go ahead and... Here we go. We'll go ahead and get rid of Jesse's image here, or maybe we'll just move it to the side. And then, Jesse, you want me to screen share with you again so you can see what I'm doing?
I can watch it on the YouTube
Okay.
if that's okay. It might be easier for
I
you
shall
that way.
disallow it. No, it's totally fine. Gonna have to test the audio here. It's a little...
Tune is
So I just want
got
you
a
to...
little extra too.
Hey, I'm going to show you guys what happens when you do the reset here.
Boo. Hey, paisanos.
Hey, paisanos.
Okay, he did it better.
And then I'm going to go ahead and lower the volume here just so we can still hear Jesse when he talks here.
Yeah. And did they still keep the Mario face at the beginning? Or did
No,
they change that as well?
That's it. That's it, what you just saw.
Okay.
I'm going to turn this a little bit lower. Okay, so it's just kind of hovering around in the background a little bit. And we'll have this up here. Sorry, guys, it's just we're rearranging so many different things here.
Hotel Mario. No.
Uh-oh. Let's do a hard reset on this because I think it needs to recognize the
Hey, paisanos.
controller.
Do you have it?
Hmm.
You might need to remap the
Yeah, maybe.
buttons.
Quick technical difficulties here. Hold on a second.
Oh yeah, you don't have any mapped
Uh-oh! What the hell
controls.
happened? Alright, guys, give me just 2 seconds here.
1001, 1002. You failed.
Huh.
Now, are you guys, while we're waiting for this
Yeah.
to troubleshoot, are you guys usually bring on or are friends with the people who make some of these ROMs that you guys show off?
In this
Do you
case,
know the person who made this?
no, I don't. I'm on their Discord server, but I actually have not really introduced myself in this particular case. Huh, so this
Maybe
was
you need
all...
to back out of Project 64 completely.
Yeah, this was all working. I set all of this up, but now for some reason, I think having it linger there for however long just...
Your computer gets stage fright too, just like I do.
Yeah. So just another... If we can't get it going, that's fine. You know, we'll do what we can do here. Somebody do a little song and dance for the people. That's good. I like that. I like that.
I don't think I'm in tune though. That's a bummer.
Yeah, see, I was explaining earlier when you had your headphones off. It would not be an official podcast without technical issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time we get ready for our podcast, we plan on starting at like 6 p.m.
Yeah.
And it never fails that we start at 7.
Here we go. We're back up. Let's just make sure this is all good. All right, yeah, we're
this is looking good.
rocking and rolling, guys. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna start a new game.
Boo. Oh, they're
I'm excited
they're just
for
dropping
this.
you right into it. Some
You can see the-
old old school Mario jams.
Yeah, so check out what's on the TV.
Well, excuse me, princess. That reference I miss. I don't know who's on the mirror there.
I think it was someone from the show. You get stuck in the.
Oh, that's the house that they're in doing the dance at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So this controller isn't the best. It's a little bit finicky. So my actual movement's not going to be the best in this.
Smart of you to blame it on the controller right from the get-go.
I'm going to let you play it here in a minute.
This is perfect.
Isn't this fantastic?
This is really cool.
This is the perfect for nostalgia for people who never needed it.
Yeah, exactly. Whoopsie. There's a little bounce pad somewhere around here. So you have like the red coins and stuff, and
Is that a new enemy they made?
yeah.
Or, okay.
Is it
Oh, there
still
we
a
go.
copyright strike if I just hum the tunes?
I don't know.
It is Captain Blue.
This is amazing. So let's jump back in there. We'll do another one. Rich, you want to jump into this?
Yeah, let me
There you go.
embarrass
You see what I mean?
myself.
Like, it doesn't... Like, you hit the button, and then you try to hit the same button again. It doesn't quite... Spaghetti dinner is what he says.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Gotta get more.
this is amazing. This Mario actually looks better in this game. So this part is hard because you have to do the successive jumps, and this controller doesn't let you do it. You see what I mean? Like, you press it again, but it doesn't really register. I need to get another PC N64 controller.
Yeah, I think you do.
It works with Zelda, where you don't need twitch movements like that. Yeah, just give up on this part.
No.
It's just gonna be all of you just trying to just get up a freaking wall.
Okay, fine. At the very least, he could be saying spaghetti dinner the entire time I'm doing that.
Spaghetti dinner. I love the meatballs in the.
They are pretty great. They're a solid replacement for the coins.
And the health is changed to pizza.
Yeah. Now this is another issue where you can't do the bounce because of the controller.
Maybe I just need to play on your keyboard.
There's a star up there though.
But the lack of analog stick would probably be a problem.
Yeah.
There's a star up where?
Up there. So if you go back into that area.
Oh, maybe I can get up here.
Maybe. I haven't tried.
Or maybe there's just going to be terrible slowdown. Oh, jeez, that's not the way I wanted to jump.
Just do another backflip. Backflip, then a backflip. You get stuck on the wall a little bit here. You having trouble?
Yeah. Here, you give it a shot.
Alright, so I think what you're trying to do is this. But then I don't think there's a ledge up there. It looked like there was, but there isn't. Alright, so... No sweat, is what he says. So,
yeah, I guess I probably could have done it that way.
The controller is kind of crappy, again. I spent like 20 minutes doing this yesterday. We're not going to spend 20 minutes doing this today.
I thought you were going to say you spent $2 on the controller.
No. See what I mean? Plus, it's like an ice level.
I mean,
it's like...
It's definitely not a great controller, but...
No.
You know, I like to take some accountability for my...
No. See what I mean? Like, it just...
Jankiness. There we go.
Just what we needed. I like how he spasms out. So let's go to, this one really confused me.
Maybe a level with some friction on it would be appreciated.
The level in and out screen is perfect.
It is pretty great.
So I can't go into those. I already
Dance
went into
white
that.
and we're out. King Mario of Cramelot.
Yeah.
So I actually used to work at a used video game store that would have all of the Super Mario Bros. Cartoon segments on repeat.
That's amazing.
Oh dear.
Yeah, depending on what day you came in, the owner would have it on either Mario, some crazy G4 TV shows that came on like 15 years ago, or Ren and Stimpy.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
That's probably the A+ of the materials you mentioned.
There's just a star.
There's 7.
Yep, I need one more.
Or you could just waste all of your energy and grab that star right over there.
Yeah, but I'll let you do the easy one.
Ouch.
Now, where is that last one?
This is great because you usually just see like versions of games that are slightly modded to add in stuff or take away things. You never see like entire levels created.
Exactly.
Oh man, we got Lou down there with the camera. Oh my god.
I love how you can just walk
horrifying.
like 90-degree angle, walk up this.
But no, despite like the most ridiculous concept, this is actually pretty good. I'm very surprised.
Yeah. Just to prevent additional copyright strikes here, I'm just gonna make a quick adjustment to the audio plugin.
You can't stop me, Tony.
Oh, that's like totally off.
Miyamoto's gonna
I think that was pretty close,
knock on your
actually,
door
Tony.
with a cease and desist.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to show Koji Kondo the respect and admiration he deserves.
Yep.
And oh man, you've given me a false sense of options.
So there's one just in that tree over there, and then there's that castle, which I kind of
I want to check out the castle.
Yeah.
Is it a functioning castle?
Well, I don't know if there's plumbing and stuff.
I don't think many castles had plumbing, Tony.
Well, some sort of basic waste management, you'd hope.
A pot that you can put your waste in and they can dump it outside.
Is this a functional door? Let's see.
False.
No. Just a little image texture thing. Oh, this is just like the weird little village.
Oh, get away from me, Shy Guys.
You need some meatballs. Wonder if you could blow those places up because there's all those bomb mobs.
Okay,
Dude, you're gonna
I need
die.
to get moving. What did I just do?
Pull that camera out a little bit. I bet you could climb on that.
There is
the
some
pole?
slowdown.
Yeah, definitely.
They might have overstacked this area. Oh, I almost got that meatball.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing, honestly.
Right. There we go. There's the speed back.
Yeah, I should contact the creators. I mean, think about maybe doing like a review of this at some point. But it came out so recently that I didn't have time with all of our other projects.
Oh dear. Am I dying?
I don't know. Move forward.
Now, how do you usually find out about all of these?
A lot of people just tell me. Like, they're like, oh, have you heard about this? You know, and I'm like, oh, I have or I haven't, you know.
Okay, I guess I got a
just
star.
got a star.
I knew there was a star in there.
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I got Excalibur. I am now your king.
Save it. I think that's enough of this.
Yeah,
We can
I
probably,
think we've shown what it's all about.
Yep, exactly.
Which is, I mean, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that was really...
Pardon my French.
That was really neat. Let me go ahead and plug in my normal mouse. There we go. Perfect. Okay, let's see here. Make some audio adjustments real quick. Let's see if there are any decent comments while we were playing. Oh yeah, that's there's a comment here. Go with like a genuine controller that has like you can use like a USB. I've been thinking about that after playing this. I definitely won't review it until I get a decent controller.
I mean, the N64 controller is one of those things where it's like, it's not a great controller.
Yeah.
But every time I play an N64 game on every other controller, I'm just like, this is wrong.
Yeah. Well,
I'm doing this game a disservice.
You got to have something like this where it's like it's set up, you know, properly, but this controller just doesn't react quick enough. Tomei is I haven't had great luck with their products, but it is better than the RetroLink one I had. The RetroLink one I had was really rough. But yeah, so let's go ahead and that was our last topic of the day, but we do have some announcements, some updates on some episodes that are going to be coming out again, but before we do that, I wanted to give, obviously a big thank you to GameOverJesse for joining us today. And I've been on many of his podcasts, like before we had done podcasts. So when we started this, I'm like, I got to get GameOverJesse on because he's had me on so much of his stuff. Like he's like a very seasoned podcast veteran. Like we got to get him on board for this.
I'll have to go back and check out some of the backlogs so I can see you being so awkward on his podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would have been even more awkward if I had been on it. But
that's your MO, right? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so I just wanted to thank him again, and also for everybody watching that are H4G Games fans. That if you haven't seen GameOverJesse, in terms of the channel, obviously you see him now because his face is right there. But there is a link to his channel in the description, so make sure that you click on that, give him a subscribe, a like, watch a couple videos. A lot of his content has some nice crossover with H4G Games in terms of Zelda news, Nintendo news, lots of Zelda theories, a lot of stuff that we don't really get into a lot of. You can fill in those gaps on his channel, like for example, like a theory, Zelda theory might be, was Link really dead in Majora's Mask? Like that kind of stuff. Like people will think of these fan theories based on evidence from the games, and some of them are really far out there. Some of them are a little bit more realistic, but all of them he covers over on his channel. So I know I kind of talked everybody's ear off regarding it, but Jesse, did you want to say anything regarding your channel?
Yeah, so if you want to stay updated on my channel, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything is /GameOverJesse. On the YouTube, we cover some similar stuff that you do. As I said earlier, H4G Games was actually an inspiration for looking up and getting some of the information on canceled games and stuff. Our most recent was to kind of celebrate the new Mega Man game that released recently. We had a top 5 canceled Mega Man games. Doing research for that video, I did not realize that there were like over 100 different Mega Man games, which was insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
they
do
came
some
up with
similar
unique robot monsters for each of them. Masters, robot masters.
Yeah. Toilet mom or toilet man. Wash the dishes, man. So there's just so many that you could think of, like Chop Man, Fireman. Those are all, easy.
Just think of like a verb.
But I mean,
a verb,
and I mean, we're at the point now where there's like the synonym robot masters. There's been a Fireman and a Flame Man.
Yeah, they're just like, what? What can we do here?
Don't forget about Pyro Man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Last week.
Yeah. So. But yeah, other than that, we heavily focus on the podcast, but we try to have at least one scripted video come out every week. So
Vibrator Man.
Vibrator. Is that a suggestion from the comments? Vibrator Man.
Yes. So yeah, thank you for having me come on. Very grateful to finally be doing something on your channel. We had you on a few times on our channel. One of my favorites was one of the more recent ones. We found a couple of old articles from like 1997, 96 about Zelda 64 before it was released. And it was like marketing from Nintendo themselves, not other websites or whatever reporting on the game. It was just like an old cataloged page from Nintendo's website where the game was still planned to release in like 96 or 97 before it was delayed until 98. So that was really fun discussing what could have been. So yeah. And again, thank you guys for inviting me on.
Yeah,
thanks for
absolutely.
coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. So let's do a couple of announcements and talk about what we're going to be having upcoming on the channel. Shall we?
I don't know anything. I'm waiting to hear from you.
We had a whole meeting earlier regarding what we're doing next. I'm just kidding. But no, we did actually do that. Disappointed in you.
I know, but
No, I'm not cover, but
what's the actual schedule?
But I just wanted your permission to be able to talk about it, Richie.
Denied.
Oh, all right. This is the end. We'll see you guys later. Thank you so much for the super chats. They keep the gears lubed up and turning. Otherwise, we can't do this. So thank you to that guy who said smoke weed every day and gave us $2. No, but really,
it was like the 4th time he had said it. Too.
I know. He's like, pay attention to me. So yeah, but a couple of announcements. Obviously, if you don't join us on Facebook or any sort of social, please do, because we always continue the conversation there.
Do we maybe want to do a light spoiler for this one by turning the camera in that direction?
Yeah, we should definitely do that. We will. But yeah, join us on social media. We're on all the normal ones: Twitter, Facebook, Google+.
You already kind of spoiled it with John's dump shot on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I know but maybe they're not on Facebook. So
true stories.
And then we also have Patreon. Obviously, if you're a big supporter of the show, we have our Patreon supporters that donate monthly. We really, really appreciate all of that because, again, part of our ability to keep episodes coming is that we have
cheddar.
We have we have equipment costs, editing costs, and it just it's tough. But you guys make it possible, and we really appreciate it.
Hey, there's
another
super
chat. And his comment, Thomas Celentano, is $2. He says $2 and donated $2.
Why are we hating on Fire Emblem Fates?
Who's hating on Fire Emblem? Maybe someone in the comments was hating on Fire Emblem.
I don't know.
But yeah, thank you so much for the super chat again. It really does help us kind of keep the lights on and avoid us from going bankrupt. So it's all good. You know, we appreciate it. So a couple of things that we're going to be working on in the future. So Richie mentioned this one. We have, I'm going to do this without unplugging everything, Steel Battalion. So for those of you that are not familiar with Steel Battalion, it is that absolutely crazy, I'm hooked up here, controller. Like, this is a full controller for a game. This is the official controller for Steel Battalion. And I don't know if you can see it over here. The foot pedals. There's also foot pedals right here.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is
pretty serious.
It's for a mech game. Okay. So we're going to be covering Steel Battalion. This was lent to us by a friend of ours that we met at the meet and greet that we did a month or two ago, and we're pretty excited, but it's tough. So we've been like training to do it. Like every time we go to shoot, we actually do like a half hour of training on Steel Battalion first, so we don't completely suck when we go to do the actual review.
Like we do in most reviews.
Like we do in most reviews. Yeah, exactly. So we have our Steel Battalion. We also have, I hate to say, it's not a review, but it's how to get the best possible quality out of Shrek on Game Boy Advance Video. And that is coming up this upcoming weekend. So next Saturday, or not next Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, you are going to figure out how you can spend $300 to $500 to get the absolute best quality out of Shrek on Game Boy Advance Video. The magnum opus of how to watch Shrek. You could watch it Blu-ray, you could watch it Blu-ray 4K, or what you could do is play it on the Game Boy Advance player, like hack it, component out, line double, line triple. It's, I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's incredible. Okay, it's an absolutely
I think I'll stick to the movie, but maybe I'll watch this episode on my birthday and change my mind.
When is your birthday again? It's coming up, isn't it?
Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I worked, but...
Are you doing anything for your birthday?
I work.
No, but I mean like for your birthday in general. Like you going to have people over or something?
Allison's been talking about maybe something, but...
Yeah?
We're not sure.
Well, let me know, dog.
We'll do.
I'll buy you around, okay? It's something. Oh, we got another super chat from.
That's a super.
Yeah, that's
chat.
a super duper chat. That one's in red. I don't know what that means even. What does it mean?
But I mean, it's some fat cash. Cheddar.
Oh man. So what does it say? Alistair Kane?
Mm-hmm.
Alistair Kane? Alistair Kane says, "Have fun, boys. Thank you. $19.99. Really appreciate that. Again, these help us continue the show, so we really do appreciate the donations."
Does that include the tax, though?
Well, tax is paid later. No. We we don't pay tax on it until either quarterly or the end of the year. But no,
I'm kidding.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's sales tax. So that the Shrek episode's coming up this upcoming Saturday on Richie's birthday. That'll be his birthday present. The Steel Battalion episode will be the following episode, the week after that, and then we're having a review of Lyons Quest, which is a rare RPG for the 3DO. I've actually posted a couple pictures of it on social media. Basically, it's like 2D sprites, but a super rudimentary 3D world. But it looks kind of like Octopath Traveler with like a vignetting around. A lot of people were like, "Is this Octopath?" I'm like, "No, it's a 3DO game." So, and they also re-released it for the Saturn, but it's kind of like a botched port. We'll be getting into it. But basically, it's this weird, rare, like very quirky, tongue-in-cheek, doesn't take itself seriously RPG that I've been wanting to cover for a long time, and finally got a decent price on a disc. So,
hey.
Covering it. And then aside from that, you know, I've been playing around with the idea of doing a sort of a developer showcase on Microcabin, which are the individuals that created Lyons Quest, Guardian War for the 3DO. They did Blazing Heroes for the Sega Saturn. They did Naval Ops Gunner for the PS2. Just like a weird like catalog, but nobody really knows or has heard the name Microcabin. So I thought it would be a nice episode to cover that not a soul will watch because it's not Zelda related. I'll work my ass off on it and nobody will care. But sometimes you do things nobody cares about because you want to. And sometimes we make videos because we think it's going to be fun. Sometimes we have a beer because it's going to be fun. And we just want to hang out with our friends and do fun stuff. I
mean, most people are upset when people watch them have sex. And sex is very enjoyable, so...
That was a point that you made. That's sure is a point that you made.
So it's not necessarily wasted effort just because nobody watches it.
Yeah. You guys are hard for games. Who does your taxes? Well, we have an accountant that does our taxes.
Your sister's an accountant, my father's an accountant. We're not without options for our taxes.
Exactly. The Out of This World Heart of the Alien reviews was my favorite H4G episodes. When you burned Lester at the end, that was hilarious.
I thought so too.
That was good stuff. We actually legitimately
It was also like true. We had to burn our best friend. It was
tough.
kind of hard for us,
Yeah.
but you know, it was worth it for the shot.
It was worth it. Did I miss anything on upcoming episodes?
No,
Those are the next
got it.
episodes over the next month or so, and then there are a couple of people who have contacted me with mods, including the Super Mario Brothers Super Show one that we may be covering as well. So, but let us know in the comments what you guys think we should be covering on the show. Obviously, we're very open to user suggestion. I'll probably take a couple weeks off Zelda, just because we've been knocking that stuff out so much.
There's going to be so many suggestions for the H4G Suicide Pact.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, maybe you guys should go away if you're not going to cover Zelda. If you're not going to cover Zelda, I'm not going to pay attention to it. So anyways, Pablo's Corner says, a Super Mario 64 mod. You say, yeah, actually we showed it earlier. I think you could backtrack in the video, but there was a Super Mario Brothers Super Show mod. But of course, Pablo will be covering your mod as well. Once it's once you have a playable demo, I'd love to play the hell out of that thing. So yeah, actually a lot of Mario stuff popping up. So
yeah,
it's good. So yeah, guys, I think
that's it, Paisanos.
I think that's it, Paisanos. Jesse, any final thoughts? Any last words? If you will?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what Millen Speedruns is going to be bringing with the finished mod that he's working on.
Oh yeah,
he mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I'll be keeping my eyes open for that this week for sure.
Yeah, oh my god, I'm excited about that. Like that video. Like the thing is, like it kind of fulfills a weird need, you know, because it's like you never really thought you wanted Ocarina of Time online or to be online, but then when it's an option, you're like, oh yeah, like yeah, of course. So then like that video like blew up, at least like a H4Games version of blowing up, which is like other channels would be like, you know, but for us it's like whoa, you know,
2 views, damn,
wow. Yeah, so like I'm excited to see what happens with that. I'm also excited to cover up this ear because it looks huge on camera. You know, this big old ear. But
I've been keeping my flappers out there for everybody.
Yeah. I was told as a child if you go like this, your ears will permanently be this way, which is not true. But that's what my mom told me.
I mean, if you just never move your hands, then it's absolutely true.
She said don't, like, 'cause I used to go like this. I used to play with my ears, and she told me if I did that, they would be stuck like that.
She would always do that. My mom would always tell me that way about my nose too, because I like to do that.
But that's not true.
One of my like little
that's not true
gestures.
At all. Yeah, I do that too, like right now.
But yeah, no, my nose has not been permanently damaged by that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, although you did do that a lot with your nipples.
Those are permanently damaged.
Yeah, those are permanently damaged. Yeah, definitely.
I will never be able to breastfeed an infant.
No. No, which is, I'm sorry.
It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's a real bummer. It's a real bummer. So hey, let us know your breastfeeding comments in the chat below. And again, just wanted to thank you all. I know we ran a little bit late here tonight, but maybe some of you actually got notified by YouTube because we ran late. But hey, thank you so much, everybody, for watching the show. We really appreciate it. Thank you again to GameOverJesse. Make sure to check out his channel. Link in the description below. And we'll see you all next time. Remember, podcast every other Sunday. So you'll be getting highlights next weekend. Weekend after that, you're going to be getting a new one. Take it easy, guys.
So long, Paisanos.